What should you expect from a Jedi who has been on the run for 5 years? Well, I think the answer to that would be some brand new combat skills. And that's exactly what we're going to see in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's right, Cal Kestis is back, and we have gotten a brand new look at some of the new combat systems in Jedi Survivor. And honestly, it is looking pretty great so far. Welcome everybody to the Lumberzack Gaming channel, your place for friendly, quality gaming content. Recently, we were given a pretty cool opportunity to see all of the new stances and upgraded stances in Jedi Survivor. And so today, we're going to be talking about all the different stances that you get, what those mean, some really awesome new things that I think you're going to be really excited about, and maybe some news that is not quite as exciting. We're going to be talking about all this, so make sure to stick around to the end so you don't miss a thing. And with that being said, let's dive on in. As I said earlier, it has been 5 years since the events of Jedi Fallen Order, and Cal Kestis has just become even more of a baddie. Because while he has been on the run for his life, he has been training it up, learning some new things. And I think those things are being greatly executed in the fact that Cal looks like a far more experienced Jedi in this game so far. And we have gotten confirmation of 5 stances that we're going to see used in combat in Jedi Survivor. A decent amount of this footage was a gameplay showcase, so it doesn't actually take place in a real level from the game. However, it was used to show off some of the new moves, some of the new stances, so we're going to break those down right now. Up first, and probably the most basic, we have the single blade stance. Now, this is something that we're all familiar with already. This is like the most balanced stance that there is. You've got a medium range, a medium power. This is like your standard run-of-the-mill lightsaber usage that we also saw in Fallen Order. Along with this single blade stance, we have a strong thrust that will break a lot of stamina of the enemies, again using medium range, and a medium range saber throw. Now, almost all of this stuff is pretty run-of-the-mill, especially if you played Fallen Order. It doesn't look like a whole lot's changed here other than some of the animations, maybe some of the new executions. But for the most part, a single blade stance is just that. It is a single blade stance that we're all familiar with. It's probably one of the most basic things that a Jedi can use all throughout the entirety of Star Wars. But that doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it's the bread and butter of the Jedi. We then have the double-bladed stance, which is, you know, like the Darth Maul look. You got your saber coming out of both ends. And this, again, is something that was kind of already taken from Fallen Order, just polished up a little bit. I'm sure there's some new abilities within there, but this is primarily used for crowd control. So if you got a lot of smaller enemies that are all kind of swarming you, this is the best way to clear the crowds that are around you. Now, the downside of this is that this stance has very slow attacks, so it really takes a lot of time to charge up your attacks. However, the payoff is that you're attacking pretty much every single person around you. So whenever you feel like you're getting swarmed by enemies, it might be nice to pull out that double blade, you know, get them off you. Just tell them to go away, you know? Now, this is where we start getting into more of the exciting and new things that Cal has learned how to do over his time, you know, being on the run. And honestly, probably the one that I'm most looking forward to is the dual blade or the twin blade stance. The development team has labeled this as being the glass cannon stance because while you can attack incredibly fast, you are opening yourself up for a lot more damage. Because while you're doing this, you're making faster strikes, you're hitting more people. However, you're opening yourself up a lot more to an attack against you. With the twin blade stance, you get a wider array of new combos. Some of these combos even require you to pause in the middle of some of the combos to fully finish off your attack. Now, one of the most exciting things about this, and if you're good with your reflexes, would be a great stance for you to use, is the fact that you can guard even after you attack. So if you're somebody who's used to something like the From Software games, like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, usually once you commit to an attack, once you start that attack, if somebody else is coming to attack you, you're out of luck. Now with the twin blade stances, you can still guard even after you've started an attack. So again, if you're good with your reflexes, if you're good with catching those things, this stance could be incredibly powerful for you. And I just think you look really cool doing it, you know? Now, for those of you guys that are looking for something a little more heavy hitting, we have the Crossguard stance, which we haven't seen a ton of, but this gives you a saber with a hilt similar to that of, yes, everybody's favorite Kylo Ren. In the words of the development team, this is the stance that gives you the most amount of damage. However, it is probably the most difficult one to use, because even more so than the double-bladed stance, this is definitely the slowest attacking stance. And unlike the twin blade stance, you cannot guard after you attack. You are committed. it also has the least amount of range. The team has said that this stance does not give you any kind of artificial distance, as in you don't lunge towards enemies any more often than you actually would. You have to actually know and recognize the distance from which you're attacking to actually successfully land attacks with the Crossguard stance. But if you can get that down, the payoff for this stance is great, giving you the most amount of damage when you're attacking. And I would say this is probably the best kind of stance for something like single target boss fights, but I'm sure we'll find many more uses for it as well. Now, the fifth stance and the final stance is the one that the team has not wanted to show us yet, and it is definitely the most controversial one that's out there. Because the fifth one is a blaster stance. That's right, Cal is packing heat. This is a stance that gives you a saber and a blaster. And a lot of people are pretty upset by this, or at least have said that this is a stance that they refuse to use in the game because they believe that a Jedi should not have a blaster. Now, in Star Wars canon, it is pretty unconventional for a Jedi to have a blaster. And that is actually just feeding into the point that they're trying to make with this, is the fact that Cal is doing anything that he can, including the unconventional, to survive. Remember, this is post-Order 66. Jedi are in extreme danger, and Cal is just now trying to survive. Now, while you're going to be shooting enemies, the team has said that you're not going to be sniping enemies. This is not a shooting game. It is still a melee-driven game. This blaster stance is still to be used in melee combat, but all along the way adds to the fact that Cal is definitely in danger, and he's just making use of his resources. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Will you use blaster stance, and do you think blaster stance is a good idea? Now, keep it civil, but let me know why or why not you support the blaster stance. It's also important to note that you will have a skill tree for each and every stance, so as you continue to level up, as you continue to gain experience, you'll be able to fine-tune all of these stances to your specific playstyle. There's also a skill tree for survivor skills, which is going to include your health bar, your force meter, and things like that. Now, there's a few more things that have been added. One is probably really great, in my opinion, and the other one is probably questionable. One of the things included in this game that a lot of people were not expecting is some dismemberment. Now, it's not quite as gory and gruesome as some people want to see, but the fact that Star Wars is a Disney franchise and they're allowing dismemberment in this game is kind of a shocking feature to a lot of people. I have seen in some of the comments of some of the videos that people are upset that it's only in certain executions. However, if you're into that kind of thing, at least we got it. Now, when it comes to the bad news, or at least the news that people probably don't want to hear, is about how many stances you're able to use at a time, because you will only be able to equip 2 of them at any given moment, which is kind of unfortunate. However, you'll be able to change these up at every meditation spot in the game, so you don't have to go all the way back to a certain menu or a certain area. As you progress, as you get to these checkpoints, you will be able to switch out which 2 that you have. From a skill standpoint, I get it. There's a challenge there. You have to be strategic with the stances that you bring in there. But from a general gameplay standpoint, it is a little disappointing that I can't switch between all 5 of them at once. However, in the original, we only ever had 2 stances, so to increase it to 5 and still only let us to use 2 at any given time is still an improvement, still some more versatility and variability in our gameplay. So personally, it does not bother me that much. Even with the recent delay of Jedi Survivor, I think it's shaping up to be an incredible experience. I'm really excited to jump back in as Cal Kestis 5 years after the events of Fallen Order. Here at the Lumberjack Gaming channel, we are all about building a positive, uplifting community of gamers that just want to share their passion of gaming, have a good time with each other. If that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll also be doing a giveaway for a copy of Jedi Survivor as it gets closer, so make sure to stick around for information on that in the next coming month. And for more information on Star Wars Jedi Survivor, check this out over here, and I'll see you in the next one.